dinosaurs are still cool.
They are.
We just saw Jurassic World, and we thought this would be a fun thing to do, to actually see a movie on the opening day or night or whatever, and
talk about it. Yeah.
First impressions. We have no notes. We don't know what the hell we're talking about. We just,
just saw the movie for the first time. First impressions.
It's good.
Yeah, I actually, I'll just say I really liked it. I thought it was great. The whole thing. I was really skeptical going into it because I do remember seeing the sequels back in the day, and I really liked the first movie. I personally didn't care much for the sequels very much, but this movie I thought was really great. I actually would say I think I like this movie as much as I like the original movie, or almost as much as I like the original movie, which is saying a lot, but I thought it was really good.
You felt like you were watching a monster movie.
I did,
and that's what it is. That's what we're here for. We love seeing Beast versus Beast versus Beast. It just keeps on.
There was a lot of beasts. There was little beasts.
Yeah.
There was big beasts. There was monster beasts.
But I mean, when you stop and think about it, it's not original. It's the same kind of thing that we've been seeing for since the beginning of film. The Lost World, actually. Lost World from 1925. That was the silent movie, which was actually
back that far.
Yeah, that was based on a book. That was based on a book by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and then
the Sherlock Holmes books and all that.
Yeah, and then Michael Crichton's sequel to Jurassic Park, which was called Lost World. That was confusing. That book actually seemed like it was a sequel to the movie more than the sequel to his own book, really, because he was forced into writing that pretty much because the success of Jurassic Park,
there's the first movie,
a lot of pressure, and it's like, spoiler alert for anyone who wants to read the book of The Lost World, the Michael Crichton one, is that or no, should I say actually spoiler alert for Jurassic Park, if you want to read the book of Jurassic Park, is that Ian Malcolm dies in it, and they brought him back because Jeff Goldblum playing Ian Malcolm was one of the most popular characters in Jurassic Park, so they
changed it for the movie.
Pretty much, he did a retroactive continuity of his own book just because he knew they were going to, probably because he knew they were going to put Jeff Goldblum in it again. So, but anyway, this one, and you know what? The Lost World, I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm just going usually I write scripts and I'm more organized, but this is just, this is completely just right off the bat.
I went into it with mediocre to low expectations, thinking it was just going to be a CGI, shitfest kind of thing. But I thought the computer graphics in the movie were really well done.
Well done, but not as good as Jurassic Park, or maybe it might be because I was 13 years old when I saw Jurassic Park. Actually, one really important thing to mention that we shouldn't sell short at all is that Jurassic Park used stop motion. Not stop motion, animatronics.
Yeah.
And I think they did a test with stop motion actually early on. But it's a lot of CG, but there's also it's part animatronics. I thought this was great. I thought this was a really great addition to the Jurassic Park franchise. Actually, it's probably the first one I think that is worthy enough of following the first one, at least.
That's what I felt, too, yeah.
It pretty much ignores 2 and 3, I think. In fact, they actually, for the first time, go back to Isla Nublar, I think, the original island.
Because you actually see the doors and everything.
When Michael Crichton wrote the book, and I read the book when I was 13, I kind of forget, but I think they basically nuked the island at the end. It was just they just wiped it all out. And then when they made the movie, they didn't explain that at all. But then when they made Lost World, when he wrote the book, he made it a different island because the first island was wiped out, and this island.
The movies are different than the books.
Well, no, the problem is that the movie, which was different in the book, then started trying to follow the book as the book follows. So the book was trying to follow the movie by putting Ian Malcolm back in because he survived. The Jeff Goldblum survived,
chronologically confused.
So basically, the book was trying to follow the movie, but the movie was trying to follow the book by making it a different island, and it was a confusing mess. And actually, I do not think that the Lost World was as bad as everybody says it is. But Jurassic Park 3 was pretty much garbage.
Yeah,
I guess nobody would argue with me with that. But
I sort of made the connection but I didn't totally until now that Jurassic Park is basically like Disneyland, and now with this movie, seeing that it's Jurassic World, so Jurassic World is Disney World essentially.
You know what I have to say is how I really wish that Ian Malcolm would have showed up in this movie and said, "God damn it, guys! I told you. You know, I told you so." Because how the fuck did they? the first movie, they make it perfectly clear this is a bad idea and that it all went wrong. And after that, you think they're never going to try it again. And then they did it again 3 movies later. And then
they're never going to make one of these movies where everything's good and it's just a park that goes well. It has to go bad or there's no drama.
I guess if they didn't listen, then... Or if they did listen, then we wouldn't have had a movie.
Exactly.
So that's the only way you could.
Because you can't just have a whole movie and then just going on the rides.
But the thing is, it's even more far. Now they actually open the park. Now there's people there. Now they're actually messing with the dino DNA even more to make these new dinosaurs. So
that's what I thought was really cool about the movie. The fact that the park is open and they're actually like rides and like it's like you're in fucking Disney World, except it's dinosaurs, and that's a really interesting idea. Like all that shit that happened in the first movie with bringing the dinosaurs back to life and all the people that died and all that, their goal is to make a theme park for people to go to, and I think they address that a lot more, or you see that a lot more in this movie, because there's actual rides open, and it's really interesting that not all of the rides are just like, it's not like Disney World where you get on the ride and you go around in the Winnie the Pooh honey pot or something like that. It's they get into like this glass ball, and they're actually out there in the fields with the dinosaurs. So they really put thought into like, what would a real theme park be like? Like, how do you get up close to seeing dinosaurs? And there's an aquarium that I think you've been to in Philadelphia, where it's in New Jersey actually, where you can actually go through a tube and you're surrounded
by sharks.
By sharks.
Yeah, that's
You've
cool.
been in that, and that reminded me.
Camden,
and that reminded me of in this movie. They're in sort of like a tube log thing, looking out at a T-Rex going after a hog or something, and that reminded me, of that. So they really did a good job making you feel like, wow, this is like a real theme park. Like I believed it. I thought like that could be a real thing if they were able to actually bring dinosaurs back.
Well,
like,
if
I can imagine it happening.
Well, if they ever make it a real thing, hopefully they watch the movies first.
And don't do it.
4 times it didn't go right. Well, I mean, the scenarios were different with the other movies. But, okay, so one thing I want to say is I like how it played a lot of tributes to the original Jurassic Park.
The music was in there.
So I like that they did all that, but I was very curious as to why the only recurring character from the original Jurassic Park that I could spot was the lab technician when the velociraptors are hatching the first time. And not only was he the only recurring character, but he was made into like more of a major role than he was. So he was in more scenes in Jurassic World, far more than he was in Jurassic Park. But not once did I really thought that there was going to be a cameo from Sam Neill or Jeff Goldblum. It didn't happen. I sort of felt, and it's only like one little tinge of negativity, but I kind of felt a little bit like it was sort of they were trying to make a remake. You know what I mean? Like it just kind of felt like it was
certain
sort of the
things
same
like when you would look
again.
When the shots where they were running away from the dinosaurs, and you look in the rear view mirror and the dinosaurs are coming up, like that kind of stuff that happens in the original movie, and it's like, does that have to be every single Jurassic Park movie? They're going to have that rear view mirror shot.
Well, not even so much as specific as that, but just the feeling of it seemed a lot like it didn't really feel like a sequel. You know what I mean? Like it felt like which is probably for the better because they tried sequels and they didn't come out that great, but
you didn't think it felt like a sequel? I thought it felt like a sequel.
I mean, it does in the way that it makes references to the original Jurassic Park, but it felt very disconnected at the same time. It felt as if it was like, this is just a totally different movie. And that's what I gathered from the trailers, was that it seems like it's just a new movie. It's just something different, but it's sort of attached to that. And they make it, I think they make all those references to say that they're totally aware of it. Like when they have the the guy in the lab who's wearing the Jurassic Park shirt, and he's like, "Oh, that first park, dude, was so legit." You know,
I mean, I think it's totally a sequel. I mean,
it is technically. It is.
It's
sequel,
just an expanded park. It's like they had the old park. Now they've made it bigger. It's a long time later, and there's a new group of people or whatever.
Yeah.
But I thought it was totally a sequel. What made you feel?
No, it is. It is a sequel, but it just felt like it's very distant from it. It's like it's a new thing.
Yeah.
Like it didn't have any like major actors from the first one. Or
if you're talking,
like that,
it's a different group of actors.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a new thing, but it really felt like it seemed like it could have, if they just took away some of those references, it could have just been a straight up reboot.
Yeah.
Like it could have just been,
instead of being a sequel, right?
That's what it seemed like. It seemed like it was like they were trying to make a remake almost, but they didn't want it to be a remake, and that's the way everything is nowadays. Like, you know. Like when they rebooted Star Trek, it was like, well, we're going to make this kind of like its own thing, but we're also going to connect it to the other movies so that it's sort of like try to make everybody happy.
I don't understand why they made a whole new universe of Star Trek and did this whole alternate reality so that they can go on a path to do a new thing, and then the next movie they did the Wrath of Khan. The whole idea was to set it up so that you could do something new, and then they go back and fuck it all up by doing Wrath of Khan. It's like you had your opportunity to make something new.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, but
let's not talk about
has nothing to do with Jurassic World.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of sadness just thinking to myself that, you know what, this is really good. I think this is as good as this could have possibly been. Like, I don't have any issues with it or anything. And it's first impression. This is what you get for, like, no script, nothing, just go right into it.
Yeah.
But I felt coming out of it, like, you know what, I just will never feel as amazed as I was when I saw Jurassic Park, because I feel like nowadays, like we're grown up, and it's just never going to be like that again. You know?
I guess the thing for me is, and why I might have liked this movie as much as I like the first one, is I was never amazed by the first movie. I went to the theater, saw dinosaurs attacked each other, I thought it was pretty good, and I left. I went home. I didn't
really.
Yeah,
oh,
I wasn't like that into it.
No.
I think you were like a hardcore.
Like,
You read the books and everything.
I was reading.
Yeah.
I read. Not only did I read the book, but I had to read every Michael Crichton book that was written up to that point.
Yeah.
Like when I saw Jurassic Park, it blew my mind. Like, it just amazed me. Like, I wanted to make movies about dinosaurs after that. I bought the mask because they had them in the Halloween stores, and I must have used that stupid Velociraptor mask in like 20 movies.
I know that mask.
Yeah.
So
you
do it in Cinemaster 200, I think.
Yeah, and I've done animations. I did a cutout animation with the dinosaur attacking the car, and
I think that's the difference. Like, that movie blew your mind when you were a kid.
It did.
So it's never going to top.
It's never going to be it. And I do want to remind people that there was animatronics in the original Jurassic Park, so it proves that the old techniques are still awesome.
Right.
It holds up. I have seen it recently. It does hold up.
Oh, it is a good movie. It's a great movie.
Yeah, but I feel like I also was kind of how do I say, like, privileged. I sort of had the luxury of having seen other dinosaur movies prior to that. I saw King Kong, which is my second favorite film of all time. First being it's Mad World. Only thing I hate about that movie is the title because it's too fucking long. But King Kong was awesome. That kind of it was the same animator, Will O'Brien, who did The Lost World, 1925, not the, so King Kong kind of stepped it up from that one. And then you had Ray Harryhausen stepped in the 50s. There was Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. Will O'Brien was still doing stuff. He did the Giant Behemoth. And then in the 60s, there was Valley of Gwangi. And that was the first movie that made the T-Rex cool, where the T-Rex was like the main badass villain of the movie, and where the T-Rex is fighting other dinosaurs.